Welcome to Wildcat Nation. I am Taylor Insulin. Here with me is Mara Salcido Alcandar. She is a member of the school board. How are you?
Good.
That's good. I'm going to start with some simple questions like, where did you go to school?
Texas Tech University.
Okay. What do you want to be in the school board?
So I've always been a person about action, and my two biggest passions are environmental and education. Mm-hmm. So in order to do that, I decided to get involved, and that's why I got on the school board.
Okay, that's really good. What have you done in your previous time in the school board?
So I recently served on the budget committee, so that's who oversees how we allocate all of our monies throughout the district. We actually just signed an agreement with the Lee County, City of Lovington, and the hospital for the wellness facility, so we're going to have a pool pretty soon, so y'all can have a swimming team. And we gave a 1% raise to teachers this last year.
So. All right.
You can keep going, we can edit this.
What did you have to? Oh, okay, we're on 3. Okay. What are average complications of being a secretary?
To be honest, we don't really do anything as a secretary. I sign the employees' checks and I sign the high school diplomas. Mm-hmm. And other than that, we're kind of just there to maintain the board and make sure that there's no sketchy things going on.
Okay. What does a school board do necessarily?
So the school board is kind of like a bridge between PED, which is the public education department, and Lovington. So what we do is they give us policies and laws and stuff like that, and then we implement it throughout the district based on what's best for us.
Okay. All right. Whoa. We're on 6? Okay, sorry.
Yeah,
now. Why do we care about the school board?
So like I said earlier, since we're technically that bridge between us and PED, anything that y'all want to see happen or how it influences you guys, you would want us to be able to benefit and advocate on y'all's behalf. So let's say right now, standardized testing, that's a huge topic.
Right.
And if y'all don't like it, then we need to be able to understand why y'all don't like it and why it doesn't affect you guys, so we can report that back to the state and hopefully work something out between each other so that we can implement something better.
All right, thank you for that. How many school board members are there, and what do they do?
So including myself, there's 5. We have a president, a vice president, secretary, which is me, and then 2 regular board members. We all collectively work together to do basically what I've been telling you earlier.
Right.
They all have different backgrounds, and a lot of them have been on there for a very long time, and others have just recently got on.
Okay. Wait, how should I do this one? Because isn't she running? Should I start off with that? So I'm gonna start off with. So I heard you're running. How many other candidates are there? Okay. So you're running, and how many candidates are there?
So I'm actually unopposed. I don't have an opposition. Me and position 5 are up for re-election right now, and that would be Greg Maxey, and he is also unopposed.
Okay.
So it's basically just us 2.
How long is each term?
4 years.
Okay. When was your first term?
So I actually came on 2 years ago. I was fulfilling a position for somebody that resigned. So I did 2 years. It's going to be my 2nd year.
Okay.
And I just answered that.
What do you plan? Okay, you already answered that too.
Here we go.
Alright. Alright, starting with policies, what is your opinion on the cell phone policy?
So I actually had to do some research last night because I remember the policy when I was in school, but that's not the same anymore. I think it's a fine line, cell phones can be a distraction, but at the same time they're a tool, so it's really hard to balance that out. I do agree with them having a fee because that actually goes into your graduation after party trip, so I think it kind of benefits you guys. And also, unless you want to do community service, which, hey, that helps you out in for scholarship applications and stuff like that. So I currently do approve of the cell phone policy. I don't think that it should be enforced as strictly as it is. I think it should be on a teacher basis because technology, that kind of makes sense that you would need to have your cell phone out to be able to use it, versus you being in math class. I think that it should be more implemented throughout the teachers and staff.
Okay. That was 13?
Yeah, so we're good.
What are your thoughts on the student dress code?
Okay. All right. So I am completely against the student dress code. I understand the reasoning for having things like you can't have spikes on your necklaces or you can't have chains because those can be used as weapons, and we've all seen how a lot of things have happened throughout the years that harm our students. However, at the same time, I think it's an antiquated policy. I think it's very sexist. I think there's not a reason why you shouldn't be allowed to have gauges at school. Doesn't really affect your learning. Same thing with like shirts and skirts that are like certain lengths and stuff like that. I don't think we should be teaching our students to see women as objects. We should instead be teaching them that, you know, you respect yourself as an individual, I respect myself, and we're good, you know.
Mm-hmm.
It's all about knowing boundaries and lines, and you aren't children, so we should be able to trust you guys to know what is correct and what is not.
Right.
So.
I like that as well. Really sorry. How should the school district handle the transgender student restroom issue?
So we actually already did solve it. I don't know if you know, we actually created single bathrooms in an A hall that are allowed or have access, that students have access to them. Truthfully, I don't believe it's an actual issue. I think it's a parent issue. I don't think it's a student issue. If you look around our generations, we're more accepting and understanding of each other.
Right.
We don't discriminate or hate against each other. So I don't think it's an issue with the students. Of course, safety is our number one concern. So if like you feel uncomfortable or unsafe, then I can see why we would need to separate them out. But I've never heard a student complain about it. It's only parents. So that's my feelings on it.
Why are there any other policies that you wish to change or maybe invent?
Honestly, changing, I'm totally against standardized testing. I don't believe it's a way to actually educate you guys. I don't think it helps you in the future, especially.
I'm just happy for that to get it
Oh, I was like, sorry.
Should we read that?
I'm really against it just because I feel like you're only talking about core subjects, and that's not what life is about. That's not what gets you into your profession. It's about a multiple of things, and if we want diverse students, then you got to get rid of standardized testing. There should be measures to see how much you've come and how far you can go, but standardized testing doesn't seem the way to do it. So that would be my number one thing to get rid of, and then of course dress codes, because I don't agree with those either, but those are just me.
I need to come. Oh, okay. You were speaking how this generation, it's more about their parents, or you don't want us to feel like what girls are objects. What are your hopes for this generation?
I want y'all to get involved. That's always my big thing. We keep letting all these adults make these decisions for us, and truthfully, this is our future. This isn't their future. They're probably not going to be here for it. So we need the younger generations to speak up. We need you guys to get involved and actually tell us, hey, this is how we feel. These are the things that we want to see happen. Because until then, it's going to keep being other people dictating your future, and that's not the way it should be.
What's the big difference or gap separating maybe your generation or the generation? Well, let's restart that. That was about to be real bad. Okay. What is the difference from your generation and this generation?
So, we were brought up in a world where technology didn't dictate everything, and we sort of, kind of as we got older, we were forced into it. Versus you guys, where that's all you've ever known. It's always been technology. You know, you didn't have things like floppy disks. You have USB cords and stuff like that. So, I think that's really the only difference. Other than that, I think we're about the same because we see the world and we want the exact same things. We're going through the same hardships. You know, school's super expensive. Like that's going to be my burden, and that's going to be your burden. And those are the things that I think we can relate to on a different level that previous generations can't. So,
All right, thank you. This has been Mara, and I'm Taylor, and you are watching Wildcat Nation.